Welcome to Headphone News, International Edition for Thursday, December 19, 2024. In today's episode, we will quickly cover 20 news articles in 20 minutes. Let's dive in.
Exciting new discovery in magnetism. Researchers at the University of Missouri in the United States have made a thrilling discovery. A new type of quasiparticle found in all magnetic materials. This exciting finding challenges our long-held belief that magnetism is static. The study, published in the journal Physical Review Research, was led by Deepak Singh and Karsten Ulrich. These quasiparticles behave like tiny particles within materials and can move quickly, opening up new possibilities for advancements in electronics. Imagine batteries in devices using technology that takes advantage of electron spin lasting for hundreds of hours on a single charge. This innovative approach could make our devices faster and more energy efficient. The research involved collaboration with Oak Ridge National Laboratory in Tennessee, the largest science and energy national laboratory in the United States. This groundbreaking finding not only enhances our understanding of magnetism, but also has the potential to significantly impact the electronic devices we use every day. What could this mean for the future of technology?
Breakthrough in transistor technology. Researchers at Penn State University in the United States have made an exciting breakthrough in transistor technology that could change the way we use electronic devices. They've developed a new type of transistor using innovative two-dimensional materials, aiming to significantly improve device performance. Led by Dr. Saptarshi Das, the team focused on creating a special kind of transistor known as a p-type field effect transistor, which is essential for making computing more efficient. These new transistors achieved an on-current value of 212 microamperes per micrometer and an impressive on-off ratio of 10,000. What does this mean for the future? This remarkable performance opens up new possibilities for electronics, especially in fields like artificial intelligence. The research highlights how two-dimensional materials could potentially replace traditional silicon in semiconductor technology, paving the way for smarter and more efficient devices that we might use every day.
China's call for peace in Syria. On December 17, 2024, during a United Nations Security Council briefing, Geng Shuang, China's UN representative, emphasized the country's commitment to fostering peace and stability in Syria. He highlighted the urgent need to stabilize the security situation in a country that has faced a devastating civil war since 2011, resulting in a severe humanitarian emergency. Geng urged all parties involved to remain calm and exercise restraint, warning against actions that could heighten tensions. He expressed deep concerns about Israel's recent bombings in Syria and its activities in the Golan Heights, a region marked by ongoing conflict. China has consistently maintained a policy of friendship and cooperation with Syria, respecting the choices of the Syrian people. The situation remains complex, with significant implications for international relations and regional stability. What does peace in Syria mean for the broader region? This question lingers as the world watches closely.
Hedge fund strategies for 2025. Hedge fund investors are now turning their attention to macro strategies as they gear up for 2025. With Donald Trump's upcoming presidency, important questions arise about global economic policies. In 2024, hedge funds that focused on big-picture economic trends saw impressive yearly returns, largely driven by market fluctuations. A recent survey from Société Générale found that nearly 40% of investment firms plan to dive into macro strategies. However, worries about potential U.S. tariff increases could impact the global economy, possibly weakening both the Chinese yuan and the euro. On the cryptocurrency front, hedge funds specializing in digital currencies also performed well, boasting a yearly return of 24.5% in 2024. The NextGen Digital Venture Hedge Fund in Hong Kong, which focuses on crypto stocks, reported a remarkable 116% increase in value this year. Meanwhile, MicroStrategy, a leading software company and major Bitcoin holder, saw its shares skyrocket nearly 500%. Despite the allure of these high returns, experts warn about the instability of cryptocurrencies. Large investment firms remain cautious as discussions about regulations begin. The focus on macro strategies and cryptocurrency investments is set to shape the future of hedge fund strategies in 2025.
Russia's shift on arms control. On December 18, 2024, in Moscow, Valery Gerasimov, the chief of the General Staff of the Russian Armed Forces, made a bold statement. Arms control over nuclear weapons is now seen as a thing of the past. This declaration highlights a troubling decline in trust between Russia and the United States. Gerasimov pointed to the collapse of key treaties like the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty and the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty as clear signs of this breakdown. He blamed the United States for worsening global conflicts and undermining efforts to maintain arms control. The rising military activities by NATO near Russian borders, along with U.S. missile deployments in Europe and Asia, have only added to the growing tensions. Gerasimov warned that many countries are now considering their own military responses, raising serious concerns about a potential arms race and the risks of conflict. He stressed the critical need for dialogue and cooperation to tackle these escalating challenges.
Marine Le Pen's early presidential election plans. Marine Le Pen, the leader of the National Rally Party in France, is gearing up for an early presidential election. She believes that President Emmanuel Macron's support is declining, signaling the end of his time in office. Le Pen faced Macron in the 2017 and 2022 elections, gaining more backing in the latter but ultimately falling short. Currently, she is dealing with serious legal issues over accusations of misusing European Union funds. If found guilty, she could face a 5-year ban from holding a government position. The trial is set to conclude in March 2025. Macron's government is struggling with a divided parliament, while Le Pen's party is pushing back against proposed spending cuts and tax hikes aimed at addressing France's financial shortfall. The outcome of this upcoming election could significantly shape France's policies and its ties with the European Union.
WTO faces challenges ahead of new U.S. administration. The World Trade Organization, known as the WTO, recently struggled to reach an agreement on changes to its conflict resolution system during a gathering in Geneva, Switzerland. This meeting took place just before U.S. President-elect Donald Trump takes office in January 2025. Maria Pagan, the outgoing U.S. ambassador to the WTO, highlighted that discussions also focused on pressing issues like overfishing. Since 2019, the WTO has faced difficulties operating its dispute settlement system due to the United States blocking the appointment of judges. Member countries remain divided on key issues, raising worries about rising trade tensions around the globe. As the new U.S. administration prepares to take charge, the future of trade talks and international cooperation hangs in the balance.
Nicolas Sarkozy's corruption conviction upheld. Nicolas Sarkozy, the former president of France, has had his corruption conviction upheld by the Court of Cassation. He was originally sentenced to 3 years in prison with 2 years suspended and will now spend the remainder of his sentence wearing a tracking device. This case centers on allegations that Sarkozy attempted to bribe a judge for confidential information about his 2007 presidential campaign finances. He plans to appeal this ruling to the European Court of Human Rights. This decision raises serious concerns about political integrity and public trust in the French government. If Sarkozy is found guilty in a separate trial related to alleged Libyan funding of his campaign, he could face up to 10 years in prison. What does this mean for the future of political accountability in France?
U.S. current account deficit hits record high. The U.S. current account deficit has reached a staggering $310.9 billion in the third quarter of 2024. That's an increase of $35.9 billion, which is a jump of 13.1% from the previous quarter. This deficit now accounts for 4.2% of the total value of all goods and services produced in the country. We've seen a significant surge in imports, totaling $837.2 billion. While imports increased by $23.7 billion, exports only rose by $13.6 billion, reaching $530 billion. This has led to a growing goods trade deficit of $307.3 billion. Additionally, a drop in primary income receipts contributed to the overall deficit, falling by $15.5 billion. These trends highlight ongoing difficulties in balancing trade and could have important implications for the U.S. economy moving forward. What does this mean for American jobs and prices in the future?
Brooge Energy faces fraud allegations. Brooge Energy is in hot water after shareholders filed a fraud complaint against the auditing firm Ernst & Young. The complaint alleges that Ernst & Young didn't find major discrepancies in Brooge Energy's financial reports. Based in Fujairah, UAE, Brooge Energy is accused of overstating its earnings by as much as 80% during 2018, 2019, and 2020. In 2023, the company settled with the SEC, agreeing to pay a fine of $5 million. Recently, Brooge Energy stocks closed at $1.585, a significant drop from a peak of $12.99 in March 2020. These serious allegations raise important questions about how auditors ensure accurate financial reporting. What does this mean for the future of corporate accountability?
New climate insurance scheme for Europe. The European Central Bank, known as the ECB, along with the European Insurance and Occupational Pensions Authority, or EIOPA, has launched an innovative climate insurance scheme aimed at improving insurance coverage throughout Europe. This initiative comes in response to the alarming increase in natural disasters, such as the devastating floods in Spain that tragically took over 220 lives in October 2024. Currently, only about 25% of losses from these disasters are insured, leaving many families vulnerable, especially those with lower incomes. The proposed scheme seeks to create a program that combines public and private insurance, allowing risks to be pooled and encouraging more people to get covered. This initiative is designed to protect communities and businesses from the financial impacts of climate-related events. Additionally, the ECB and EIOPA highlight the need for a new fund to assist in rebuilding infrastructure after disasters, which would be supported by European Union member states. Ultimately, this proposal aims to close the growing insurance protection gap and enhance economic security in the region. What does this mean for our communities? It's a vital step towards safeguarding our future against the effects of climate change.
Palestinian families sue U.S. over military aid to Israel. Palestinian families are taking a stand by suing the U.S. State Department over military aid to Israel. This legal action follows a devastating attack by Hamas on October 7, 2023, which has resulted in a staggering loss of over 45,000 lives in Gaza. The ongoing violence raises serious concerns about human rights abuses. The lawsuit argues that U.S. military aid supports these actions, violating a U.S. law that prohibits assistance when human rights violations occur. In just the first year of this conflict, U.S. military support to Israel has reached at least $17.9 billion. The violence has already led to about 1,200 Israeli deaths and around 250 hostages taken. As the humanitarian crisis in Gaza deepens, urgent discussions about U.S. foreign policy in the region are more critical than ever. What does this mean for the future of the area?
Isabel dos Santos and the corruption scandal. What happens when a billionaire faces serious corruption charges? Isabel dos Santos, Africa's first female billionaire, is in the spotlight for alleged corruption. The UK government has labeled her a notorious kleptocrat, and sanctions have been imposed as part of a campaign against dirty money. She's accused of misappropriating at least £350 million, which is around $442 million, depriving Angola of vital resources. The UK High Court has frozen £580 million of her assets following claims from Unitel, Angola's leading mobile phone company. Dos Santos has built a vast business network with over 400 companies across various sectors. The allegations intensified after the Luanda leaks in 2020 revealed the misuse of public funds.
Her father, José Eduardo dos Santos, was Angola's president for 38 years, a time when corruption thrived. The current president, João Lourenço, is seen as targeting the dos Santos family. In 2022, an Interpol red notice was issued for dos Santos, and the United States also sanctioned her in 2021 under anti-corruption laws. These ongoing investigations raise critical questions about governance and accountability in Angola.
Trump's opposition to funding bill raises concerns. President-elect Donald Trump has taken a strong stand against a funding bill that aims to prevent a government shutdown. Lawmakers in Washington, D.C. are racing against a crucial deadline of December 20th, 2024, to finalize this temporary funding solution. The proposed bill includes $100 billion for disaster relief and an additional $10 billion in aid for farmers. Trump's firm opposition sends shockwaves through the political landscape, raising questions about the bill's future. Meanwhile, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance supports a temporary funding solution, criticizing what he calls Democrat giveaways. On the other hand, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries warns that a government shutdown could disrupt the lives of working-class Americans. If Congress fails to pass this funding bill, non-essential government services will come to a halt, impacting federal employees and the public. The outcome of these negotiations will have significant implications for the economy and the daily lives of everyday Americans.
World Bank funding for Ukraine. The World Bank has greenlit a substantial funding package of $2.05 billion for Ukraine. This financial boost includes the first grant from a new $20 billion U.S. loan fund, which is backed by frozen Russian assets. The goal? To strengthen Ukraine's economic stability as it faces ongoing challenges from the conflict that began in February 2022. This funding will help the Finance Ministry of Ukraine and drive changes in policies aimed at encouraging long-term growth. Key initiatives focus on improving competition in the railway sector and advancing renewable energy projects. The U.S. Treasury has transferred these loan funds to a special fund managed by the World Bank for Ukraine. This effort is part of a larger commitment of around $50 billion in financing for Ukraine. The World Bank, along with international partners, continues to support Ukraine's aspirations to join the European Union. What does this mean for the future of Ukraine? It's a crucial step towards recovery and growth.
A mother's plea for help. Deborah Tice is fiercely committed to finding her son, Austin Tice, a missing American journalist. She has reached out to Russian President Vladimir Putin for assistance in locating him. Austin has been missing in Syria for over 12 years, having vanished in 2012 while covering the civil war. In an emotional letter sent on December 18, 2024, Deborah expressed her hope that Putin's connections with the Syrian government could aid in the search. The U.S. State Department believes Austin is being held by the Syrian government, a claim that President Bashar al-Assad has denied. Despite the uncertainty, Deborah is willing to travel anywhere to bring her son home. Recent reports from former prisoners suggest Austin was seen alive in July 2022, but these claims remain unconfirmed. The Tice family's struggle highlights the continuing humanitarian emergency in Syria, where countless families are desperately searching for their missing loved ones amid the chaos. What would you do if your loved one went missing?
Gisèle Pelicot mass rape case in France. A shocking mass rape trial has begun in Avignon, France, where 72-year-old Gisèle Pelicot has accused her husband, Dominique Pelicot, also 72, of drugging her and enabling her rape by inviting other men into their home. 51 men are facing serious charges of rape and sexual violence that span over a decade, with prison sentences ranging from 4 to 20 years. Activists are shining a light on this case, highlighting it as a disturbing reflection of the culture of sexual violence in France. Since 2016, domestic violence complaints have doubled, and a recent study shows that 3 out of 4 women in France feel they are not treated equally. Last year alone, over 200,000 women reported being victims of sexual violence. This trial has sparked urgent discussions about the need for changes to the law to better protect victims and hold offenders accountable. Many see this case as a pivotal moment for the #MeToo movement in France, hoping it will lead to significant societal change and greater awareness of women's rights.
Qcells' revolutionary breakthrough in solar technology. Qcells, a solar division of Hanwha Corporation, has made a revolutionary breakthrough in solar technology. On December 18, 2024, they introduced a new solar cell that combines traditional silicon with cutting-edge perovskite materials, achieving an impressive efficiency of 28.6%. This innovation could solve space issues by reducing the number of solar panels needed for the same power output. Competitors like Longi from China and Oxford PV from Britain are also making strides with significant improvements in efficiency. This breakthrough occurred at Qcells' research facility in Germany, a recognized leader in renewable energy. So, what does this mean for the future of solar energy? This development is set to promote wider adoption of solar energy, benefiting consumers and businesses alike. Imagine a world where solar energy is more accessible and affordable for everyone.
CHIPS and Science Act and Semiconductor Industry Developments. The CHIPS and Science Act, signed by President Joe Biden in 2022, set aside $280 billion to boost semiconductor manufacturing in the United States. This funding includes $39 billion for financial aid, loans, and tax credits to support companies in the industry. As Donald Trump prepares to take office on January 20th, uncertainty looms over the future of this funding. Trump has criticized the act and accused Taiwan of taking jobs from the U.S. Taiwan's semiconductor manufacturing company, known as TSMC, is gearing up to invest $6.6 billion in grants and $5 billion in loans to create facilities in Arizona. Another Taiwanese firm, Global Wafers, will receive $406 million for its operations in Missouri and Texas. Meanwhile, South Korean giant Samsung plans to invest $45 billion in Texas, and SK Hynix is looking to set up a $3.87 billion facility in Indiana. Taiwan, a powerhouse in the semiconductor industry located off the southeastern coast of China, plays a vital role in this sector. The evolving situation raises significant concerns about U.S.-China relations and its effects on technology and national security. What does this mean for the future of innovation in America?
Economic uncertainty ahead of Trump's administration. A storm of economic uncertainty is brewing as the world braces for the incoming administration of President-elect Donald Trump. Federal Reserve officials are adjusting their forecasts, anticipating higher inflation and stricter interest rates. In Canada, Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland has resigned after conflicts with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau over potential U.S. tariffs. This resignation follows the announcement of a financial shortfall of about 62 billion Canadian dollars for the fiscal year 2023-24, raising worries about Canada's economy, which heavily relies on trade with the United States. Trump has issued a warning of a 25% tax on goods imported from Canada and Mexico unless these countries take action to limit the flow of migrants and fentanyl into the U.S. Meanwhile, both the European Central Bank and the Bank of Canada have lowered interest rates, with further cuts expected in 2025. In the cryptocurrency market, Bitcoin has experienced a 5% decline in value after Jerome Powell, chair of the Federal Reserve, stated that the Fed cannot hold Bitcoin. The economic landscape remains uncertain, as potential tariffs and trade tensions could lead to higher prices and reduce growth. What does this mean for consumers and businesses? Stay tuned as these developments unfold.
That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's Headphone News. News summary brought to you by AI.